about buzzing around, I decided to call it, Adventures with the Mosquito Habitat Mapper. So that's what I'm going to be sharing some information on with you this morning. I'm going to be talking about my work and experiences with the Globe Mission Mosquito and with the Zika Education and Prevention Project. So, as some of you probably already know, the mosquito is the world's most dangerous animal. And that always strikes people as being kind of surprising because, often you think of sharks or snakes or lions. You don't think of the little pesky mosquito. But as it turns out, mosquitoes are the world's most dangerous animal because more people die and get sick from mosquito-transmitted diseases than from any other animal, even than from humans. And of course, those of you who live in Southeast Asia and the Pacific are fully aware of many of the different mosquito-transmitted diseases, especially things like dengue and in some cases even malaria. So the Mosquito Habitat Mapper is both a Globe protocol and also an app that you can have right on your iPad or smartphone. One of the really neat things about the Mosquito Habitat Mapper is that while there are 4 steps, you don't have to do all 4 steps. So you don't have to have any special equipment. You don't have to have anything other than a smartphone or an iPad. You don't even have to have internet connectivity to use the Mosquito Habitat Mapper. Basically, what you do is you look around and you see if you can find some standing water, because mosquitoes, adult female mosquitoes, lay their eggs in standing water, and they actually prefer a very small amount of standing water. So even things like just trash or little bottle tops that are left around are a perfect place for an adult female mosquito to lay her eggs, because she knows that that way it won't be like laying them in a stream where they might get washed away, and they have a better chance of hatching. So basically you'll just take your phone or iPad and you'll look around, and if you see some standing water, whether it's in a natural environment or an artificial human-made environment, you take a picture. You don't want any people in the picture. You just want to take a picture of that environment. And I'll show you some examples in a little bit of that potential mosquito breeding habitat. Now, that could be all you have to do. But let's say you look inside and you see that in that water sample, there are some little wiggly things, which could be mosquito larvae, kind of baby mosquitoes. Then what you can do is you can take a small amount of that water and you can count how many mosquito eggs do you see? Do you see any larvae? How many? How many pupa? And if you see any adult mosquitoes around. You don't have to do that step, but that's something that you can do to help us have an understanding of about how many mosquitoes are in that sample. Now, if you, oh yes, go ahead. Now, if you happen to see some mosquito larvae, the little wiggly babies, and they cannot hurt you at all, they cannot transmit disease, then you can get, and I'll grab one right here and show you, you can get a very inexpensive little cell phone magnifier. And this is something that you just take and you clip on to your smartphone, wherever your camera is, and you just clip it on, and it turns your smartphone into a magnifier, into a microscope. Then you can take a picture of the larva, and we walk you through the steps to be able to identify what genus, what type of mosquito you have. Because basically there are 3 different species or 4 genera of mosquitoes which transmit most of the diseases that we know about. And so we walk you through on the app how to go ahead and identify what kind of mosquito larvae you have. Now, you don't have to do that. All you have to do is just take pictures of where you might see mosquitoes. But of course, it's really helpful if you do have a magnifier and you do actually see larvae, and you can report in the kind of larva that you find. And then finally, when you can, you get rid of the water source, because of course, we don't want to accidentally be raising mosquitoes, not on purpose. So today I went and I took a picture of how many observations there have been since we started with the Mosquito Habitat Mapper app. So that was May 29th of 2017, about 3 years ago. And between then and now, we've already had over 20,000 observations. And if you look at this map, you'll see that the area that you represent over here in the Southeast Asia and Pacific, we certainly have a lot of observations, but of course we would always like more because it's extremely helpful. So I'm going to show you a couple of places where you can go to get more information and get resources if you decide that you'd like to be a part of helping us to reduce the threat of mosquito-transmitted disease. So I am the coordinator and the formal education lead for what we call the Globe Mission Mosquito Campaign. Now, the goal of this campaign is to create an organized citizen science community, mostly through formal education, but through citizen scientists as well, with targeted outreach so that we can help people to answer some science questions that we would love to answer in the 3 years that we're having this campaign. These are the questions we're hoping to answer. We want to identify the baseline for the range and distribution of those vector mosquitoes that I was talking about. We'd like to be able to get a better understanding of the seasonality of the mosquito vectors. So when do you first see them? When are you last seeing them? When are you having your period of the greatest observations? And that will help us to better understand where and when these different types of mosquitoes are appearing. Then we also would love to be able to quantify a change in the mosquito frequency and their distribution by getting the local information, which of course means each and every one of you, no matter which city or province or town you're in, then regional and national, and even looking at the global scales, and being able to try to understand the correlations between mosquitoes and environmental parameters such as surface temperature, because we know when it's warmer, that's when we're more apt to see active mosquitoes. Also precipitation. Too much or too little precipitation has a real impact on when and where you're going to see mosquitoes. And other things like vegetation, soil moisture, some of those parameters are also important. The Globe Mission Mosquito Campaign, I wanted to show you a couple of different resources. Well, actually, I'm not going to walk you through the resources, but I just wanted to point out to you that this is a part of the Globe program. And you just go to the Globe website and go to Doing Globe, and you'll get to this, this section. And when you come to this section, you can see any of our past webinars. You can also see a science blog, lots of different resources and frequently asked questions, some information about mosquitoes and the diseases that they transmit, some of our previous newsletters, whether or not we're having a data challenge, and then a meet the team. And I would like to invite you to join us for the next science webinar, which we call meet up and do science. It's going to be on Thursday, but for you, you're always ahead of us. So it's actually going to be on Friday, but it's going to be at 2 in the morning. So you probably don't want to wait up and see that no matter how fascinating it is. But we always record these. So you can go to that website a few days afterward and you can watch any of the recordings and also access the PowerPoint presentations. On Thursday, we have a scientist, Asaf Anyamba, who works with me at Goddard Space Flight Center, and he does a lot of research in Africa and in some other countries as well. And what he focuses on is the relationship between precipitation and how that impacts where and when you'll see mosquito-transmitted diseases. Now, one of the most important things that we love to see from using the mosquito habitat mapper and also other GLOBE protocols and NASA data are the International Virtual Science Symposium reports. So on this slide here, on the left, these two pictures are of some local students near where I live at a high school, and I was able to bring some larvae to their school and help them to be able to identify the genera of larvae that we were looking at. They did write an International Virtual Science Symposium report where they were looking at the kinds of mosquitoes and the types of diseases that they transmit in Maryland. We have some superstars in Thailand and in the Philippines who use the mosquito habitat mapper year after year and do some absolutely fantastic International Virtual Science Symposium reports. Here are some of the young ladies whom Peter and I have had the pleasure of being able to meet when we were in Thailand at their school, and also meet last year at the annual GLOBE meeting. And there they are with one of their projects that they did, which they did an International Virtual Science Symposium report about mosquitoes in Thailand and the impact that they have on the dengue disease. We also have some superstars from Kenya. I was really happy to meet these two young women and their teacher, and they do a lot of identifying the different species, genera of mosquitoes that they have over there in their region in Kenya. And then this is another young student, and he was also from Thailand, who did a research report on using the mosquito habitat mapper. I mentioned that there's another program that is absolutely an incredible success called the Zika Education and Prevention Project. This project is one that is a joint project with the GLOBE Implementation Office and the Department of State. It was put together in response to Zika, but it doesn't just focus on Zika. Zika is certainly a very dangerous mosquito-transmitted disease, but what this program does is it pulls together different kits and focuses on several countries and helps the people in those countries to get training and then to go out and train other people in their community. And they have just done an absolutely incredible job. And I'll be sharing with you in a few slides something that was released today showing the awards that they received for their absolutely fantastic research projects. I was very, very privileged to have the opportunity to go to both Togo and to Peru and to work with some of the participants and the trainers for the Zika Education and Prevention Program. And it was such an honor. They were so motivated and they went forth and did an incredible amount of training. As a matter of fact, so many of the observations that we are getting are from the people who are involved with the Zika Education and Prevention Program. They just have done a fabulous job of getting other people interested, and submitting data. So from the Asia and Pacific for this, for 2020, these are some of the reports that were awarded the Department of State award for being just very excellent international virtual science symposium reports. So some students from Paraguay, and they did, in the Philippines, did a report on mosquito breeding site characterization. And then in Thailand, the winners were those who had done a report on mosquito larva diversity and abundance relation to land cover in coastal areas in the Trang province. So we do see a lot of really, really fantastic reports coming from those countries. I wanted to point out to you that there's another fabulous resource, and that is the Globe Observer website. And you just go to the Globe Observer website, and if you were to go and click on Do Globe Observer, depending on which of the 4 tools you're interested in working with, you'll find lots of different resources. So even if you don't know a lot about mosquitoes or how to use the Mosquito Habitat Mapper tool, we will walk you through how to use it, different resources, and various questions that you might have. This is a group of fabulous Globe members whom I was working with at the annual meeting in Detroit last year. And we were coming together from lots of different countries in kind of a small working group. And we just decided that we were dedicated in going back to our different continents and countries and working to reduce the threat of mosquito-transmitted disease. So I just wanted to leave you with some resources. And one is, feel free to contact me if you have any questions about how to use this tool, how to get teachers and students involved, perhaps how to get your country coordinator some resources so that they feel empowered to use this. So feel free to contact me. There's my email. Also, there's lots of resources at the Globe Mission Mosquito website, the Globe Observer website, and also the Zika Education and Prevention Project. All of those pages have lots of resources to begin with. Encourage your students and your teachers and every citizen scientist to take their smartphone and when they're out and about, to use the Mosquito Habitat Mapper as well as other Globe data, things like temperature, precipitation, humidity, soil moisture, land cover. All of those are fabulous protocols that students and teachers can use to find relationships between things like precipitation and land cover and mosquitoes. Some really neat correlations there. Attend our webinars. We'd love to have you attend in person. And again, if the time's not very good, we always have those archived recordings. And try out the Mosquito Habitat Mapper and use it often. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing so that I can come back and see if there's questions. And feel free to let me know if anybody has any questions that I might answer, or questions about the Mosquito Habitat Mapper, any of the campaigns, or just about other things as well.
Okay, thank you, Lorian. Thank you very much for the wonderful